Okay, hi everyone. This video is aiming at giving you some kind of an idea how you can approach researching your topics, and it'll focus on how to find relevant documents. This is this is what I heard that some of you had still had some problems with. Um, and let's look at one example of the topic that we're going to discuss in New York. And I will give you some ideas how you can find your documents and how the resources that you have on the UN website can be useful. So let's start at the NMUN website. And we're on the committee website and where we see all the topics. And let's go to CCPCJ and look at the three topics that Max will have to deal with. Um, and the first point of your research should always be the background guide, because the background guide is really, really helpful in structuring the issue, and it will give you normally very good overview on what the topic is, what the important aspects of the topic are um, for different groups of countries, or what the most important um, international aspects of the topic are. So I downloaded the background guide for CCPCJ, and I decided to look at topic 3, the rule of law in the fight against transnational organized crime and drug trafficking. Um, and that's the background guide, that's page 42 where the topic starts. And what I first did was I just glanced over the text and marked important documents that are referred to in the background guide. And I think this background guide is really well written because it gives you a nice overview on key documents that have evolved over time regarding the rule of law, transnational crime, and certain more specific aspects to it. Um, so, of course, there's the Charter. There are major GA resolutions that establish the rule of law within the UN system. There is a section on transitional justice, more specific aspect, another more specific aspect. Um, Gender justice, again, referring to UN reports by the SG, as well as to major sources of international law on this subject, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, Major Security Council resolutions, 1325 on women, peace, and security, and two others. And then the background guide will reference important conventions, important pieces of international law relevant to the topic. One is the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, and their Palermo Protocols. And in addition to that, the three major conventions on drugs that are referenced here. Um, and what the background guide also gives you a very nice overview on are the implementation agencies. So the bodies of the UN that are actually there to enforce these conventions, these pieces of international law, like the UNODC, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in Vienna, works on implementing the conventions on drug control. Of course, the law-making body in the UN is the Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, the committee that Max will be representing Argentina in. Um, and there's some background right references, some instruments that the UNODC uses in drug policy, some international databases that are used to fight drug trafficking, and so on and so forth. There are some more references to GA resolutions on crime prevention, criminal justice, some work that the ECOSOC has done, and so on and so forth. Okay, now, so you have a lot of starting points to do research. One of the questions that some of you, specifically in effort, have asked me, okay, how do I find these documents? And as an example, I picked the Convention on Transnational Organized Crime to show you as an example how to find it. There are multiple ways of finding it. The quickest one is there's a stable link to documents that I will share with you, of course, that gives you access to the file if you know the document code. And the document code is typically referenced in the background guides, and for the Convention on Transnational Organized Crime, it is this one. So you just take the link and then add A for General Assembly, because the convention was adopted in the UN framework as a GA resolution. So it's A/res/ it was adopted in the 55th session of the UN, and there it was document number 5. So we look for this link, hit enter, and then it gives you access to the 6 official UN languages. You press the English version, and that takes a bit, but it'll get you to this document that contains the resolution A/res/55/25. Now I will give you
the less quick but more comprehensive way of finding documents is via the United Nations Bibliographic Information System. Back in Trier, I told you that it's your answer to basically every question you might have. I don't know if it's that, but it'll give you access to more documents that you can process. Now, how would you approach finding the convention? You use the bibliographic records and hit new keyword search. And the easiest way of finding it is again by using the document code. So that's what we're gonna do. There it is, it's the same document code again, and hit enter. We can discard all the other search options, and that gets you to this information card on the on UN document A/res/55/25. Now, if you look at this, issuing body 55, A55, what does that mean? It means it was A stands for the General Assembly always, and 55 for its 55th session. Now, when was the UN founded? Plus 55, go do the math. We are in the year 2000 when it was adopted. And here on the info on the vote and the action date, you can actually see that it was adopted in on the 15th of November 2000, and it was printed in January 2001. Now, this link to the different language versions gets you again to the file for the document. We'll get to that in a minute. What is also worth noting, and what some of you I think had some issues with in the position papers that I've seen so far, some of you referenced draft resolution or draft versions, I'm sorry, of documents. These are usually listed under related documents. And here we have the info on a related document A/55/383. As you can see, that document code doesn't have a res, so it's not a resolution, but it's an agenda item. We're gonna look at it in a second. Because that is the actual draft version of the document. It was discussed by the ad hoc committee under the GA, and the GA plenary itself only adopts the final documents. The GA plenary itself usually doesn't discuss documents. This is also why, since a couple of years at NMUN, there is no committee GA plenary that meets during the week. The GA plenary session takes only place on the last day, where it actually does exactly that and considers draft resolutions or resolutions from the GA main committees, and these are the first, second, and third committee. Also, you can see here that the resolution actually contains annexes. Some of you in Tutzing and in Erfurt asked where are actually examples where something is moved to the annex of a resolution. Here you have examples, and these are things, not just clauses, but full documents that were moved to the annex of a resolution in order to positively highlight them. In this case, there are three annexes. One is the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime itself, and the other two are protocols to it, two of the three so-called Palermo protocols. The index card also tells you that that the resolution was adopted without a vote, so unanimous again. Otherwise, you would have a voting record here on who voted in what way. Okay, having looked at this, this is actually the document. So if you click on English, it takes you to this document, A/res/55/25. One important point to note when you reference documents, or also when you write about them, this link that opens on Open Element is not stable. That means if you copy it, send it to someone, and that person pastes it back into a browser, it won't get you to the document. So if you want to share documents or links to documents, use this document code that I showed you before, because this one is stable. Good. So this is the resolution as you know resolutions to look like. Preambulatory clauses, lots of them, then a couple of operative clauses, the date when they were adopted. You got the same information in the index card before, and there you have annex number 1. the Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, and if we scroll down at some point, we will get to Annex 2 and Annex 3. Maybe. Okay, well, let's just skip that. Not that important. But going back to one point, and that was that the resolutions are at the UN not debated in one go, in one session. There is a lengthy preparation process, as you might imagine. And the documents that are there before are precursors to the actual resolution. You can find under these related documents. Para 121 just means paragraph 121 in that document. So what we're going to do now to find the draft resolution, to see where that document came from, is we're going to do a document search again, like we just did, but before we looked for a Res 5525, now we're going to look for a 55383. So let's do that. You see it's the same bibliographical record search. I'm not doing anything but selecting document code, put the link in, and hit enter. Gives us 6 returns, and as you can see, this is obviously Chinese, I guess. There's a letter on that agenda item. There are 2 addendums to it. We're not going to look at those. But A55383, that is the document that we were looking for. And if you hit the English version again, takes you to this document. There's the document code again. And you can see this document was distributed 30 days before the GA actually adopted the resolution. It is a document on the meeting of the Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. And there are a number of reports in it on different items. Different reports on their meetings, different sessions, and so on and so forth. We're going to scroll down to paragraph 121. There we go. Matters calling for action by the General Assembly at its 55th session. So what we find here is what the ad hoc committee has worked on and recommends to the General Assembly plenary for adoption. And contained in it is the Convention Against Criminal Crime, Transnational Organized Crime, and the protocols. And there we have this draft resolution again. It is very likely that this is the identical text to what you found before. And there's the annex again with the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. Good. I hope that helps a bit. It makes a lot of sense to look at the search mask, how we can use UNBISNET to find documents and to find information that will help you. Take a look at one of these examples, or Google or search for a resolution that is important for your topics in UNBISNET, and take a look at the links and the information that you find here, related documents that might be relevant, and so on and so forth. Having said that, I'll see you in the next video.